Well, we're at the end of the year and I'm joined with Cameron, who's our growth catalyst with GHC. My name's Mike, co-founder of GHC. We're both pastors and we're both reflecting on the year that's gone by. And we've been using GHC to help us assess the health and growth of our church. Now, to start us off, Cameron, wind back the clock to the beginning of the year. Were there some goals and areas in the life of your church that you were hoping to see fruit this year?
I think that one of our plans for the year was to think really hard about kind of mission and when and how we're engaging kind of our community with the life of church. So one was to think, how can we structure our church calendar around engaging people, inviting them to join us? That'd be one. And the second one would be, how do we care for our members as they move from kind of new into joining and being part of our church?
Yeah, great. I started as lead pastor at Toongabbie this year, and so there was a sense that I didn't even know who the flock was when I began, particularly given that a whole bunch of them were nervous about COVID, then a whole bunch sick during the year. And so we've worked hard at sort of really just gathering the saints. And so we've been looking at regularity in both our services and in our groups. So I guess at this time of year, because with goals in mind at the beginning and sort of areas of focus, we can come to the end of the year and say, well, have we seen the kind of fruit we were hoping for? And that's where GHC is quite helpful. So perhaps if you share your screen, Cameron, give us a sense of what you've seen this year.
Yeah, so one of our goals for this year would have been kind of looking at our visitor ratio and particularly looking at the number of people that kind of came and visited church for us. So you can kind of see from looking at this, we had kind of 230 or so people come along and check out church here, and seeing kind of 1 in 3 people kind of our members coming along. But one of the things that we worked really hard at was using the visitor strategic page to get a feel for when during the year they're coming. So when do we want to pour a bit of mission energy into our congregation? So we really use this central graph here to say, there's kind of a flavor at the start of the year, kind of March, April time. And then we kind of go quiet through the middle. Then at the back end of the year, spring, people are coming out of winter, coming and checking out church. And what we saw was, that's when people are already coming and looking and visiting us. So how can we pour a bit of energy into that? So that kind of shaped how we thought about our church calendar for the year as one way we use GHC to do that. Yeah,
that's great. Just looking across to our dashboard, so we're looking at adults only across our 4 services. We've been steadily sort of chipping away at our regularity. As we started at the beginning of this year, we're hovering around 50% regularity, and we've been chipping away at that. And we've seen 10% rise over this year in our regularity, and that's really come about using kind of things like GHC to help us get a sense of how engaged people are and who we ought to prioritize in reaching out to. And so pages like this give us, an ability to quickly see who are the people who have missed the last couple of weeks. Are they engaged in small groups? If they are, then how might we work through the small group leaders to reach out with them to them and see, to follow them up? Or if they're not in a small group, then who in the pastoral staff team will follow them up, and how might we connect them with a small group as we seek to create sort of discipleship structures of caring for one another. We've also worked hard at trying to reduce this list here, that is members who are not attending, and there's all kinds of reasons why there's still a few that are not attending, but we want to know what those reasons are rather than just have a long list of people. Just as a bit of an aside here, one of the things that's been helpful is this page here. So this one here breaks down the attendance stats over the whole year by congregation, and we can see this ratio here that suggests that around 90%, even 94% at our first morning congregation percent have actually returned. So initially we had to work hard to actually lift that statistic of people who are actually attending at all. And then once we've sort of regathered people, now we're trying to lift actually their regularity. And so not only was the COVID an issue at the beginning of the year, but there's a lot of sickness and there's a lot of roster filling and a lot of stuff happening like that during the middle of the year. But we're starting to rise up out of that, and we want to keep working on that into the new year. As we think about next year, Cameron, are there things that stand out to you from just some of the things you've worked on this year heading into next?
I think one of our goals is we're kind of probably lagging a bit behind the regularity. So similarly, we've got people back. I think one of the real focuses for us is going to be increasing people's engagement with our services kind of week in and week out. We're probably sitting something in the low 50% at the moment, which is an increase on earlier in the year. But how can we bring our congregations to gather more regularly together will be one of our big focuses moving into next year.
Yeah, great. For us going into the new year, we want to keep our steady focus on small groups. We haven't had to work too hard to keep that at 70% this year. We're very encouraged by that. And there's a whole bunch of people who are meeting in triplets and informally that are not part of this. So it's probably higher functionally. But what we do want to work on is our volunteer ratio. So over this year, we've worked in our Elvanto system to make sure that not just the Sunday service roles are included, but all the kind of other roles, so our wardens and other sort of non-Sunday roles are all included. And so that means that I can actually look at something like this and see, who are the people who are on, multiple things, both Sundays and non-Sundays. Do I need to kind of care for them? Do I need to help them pull back from some things? But also, who's underloaded? Who might we be able to actually encourage to step up to serve into different things? Or who's not even serving at all? And so as we hit the end of our vision month, and so we ask people to pledge financially, but also consider how they might use their gifts for the kingdom, these are some of the things we're going to be looking at over the next month and into the new year. Yeah, so look, we hope that GHC helps serve you guys as ministry leaders to focus on health and growth and be able to finish the year and say, not just we survived, but actually where have we seen fruit, where have we seen growth, and how I may pursue health into the new year.